Hello everyone, welcome to English Storybook YouTube channel. Today we are going to learn English through the history about highest mountain in the world, Mount Everest. Learn, enjoy, and stay with us for upcoming beautiful stories. For the best practices, you are kindly requested to imitate the sentences after me. Let's start the story. World's highest peak above the sea level, Mount Everest. Chapter 1. Introduction. Mount Everest is the highest mountain on Earth. The official height of Mount Everest is 8,848.86 meters. This is about 29,032 feet above sea level. It is a giant peak of rock and ice. It reaches very high into the sky. The mountain is extremely famous. People all over the world know its name. It sits in the continent of Asia. It is part of the Himalayan mountain range. The border between two countries runs right across its top. These countries are Nepal and China. Nepal is to the south. China is to the north. The mountain is a symbol of nature's power. It is a place of great beauty. It is also a place of extreme danger. Many people dream of seeing it. Some brave people dream of climbing it. Climbing it is very hard. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of money. It also takes a lot of strength. Everest is not just a mountain. It is a legend. Chapter 2. The names of the mountain. Mount Everest has many names. Different people call it different things. The name Everest is English. It was given to the mountain in 1865. It was named after Sir George Everest. He was a British mapmaker in India. He did not actually discover the mountain. He did not even want it named after him. But the British name stuck. The local people had their own names for it, long before the British arrived. These names show deep respect. The local people view the mountain as holy. They believe gods live there. They treat the mountain with great care. Chapter 3. How the mountain was made. Mount Everest is millions of years old. However, in geological time, it is quite young. It was formed by the movement of the Earth. The Earth's crust is made of giant puzzle pieces. These are called tectonic plates. Millions of years ago, the Indian plate moved north. It crashed into the Eurasian plate. The crash was very slow, but very powerful. The land crumpled and folded. The ground was pushed high up into the air. This massive crash created the Himalayan mountains. Everest is the highest point of this collision. The plates are still moving today. They move a tiny bit each year. Because of this, Mount Everest is still growing. It grows about 1/4 of an inch every year. It is also moving slightly to the northeast. Chapter 4. The Rocks of Everest. The mountain is made of different types of rock. The very top of Everest is made of limestone. This is very interesting to scientists. Limestone is a rock that forms at the bottom of the ocean. It is made of the shells of dead sea creatures. This means the top of Mount Everest was once under the sea. The tectonic plates pushed the ocean floor up into the sky. Below the limestone, there is marble. Below the marble, there is granite. Granite is a very hard rock. It forms the strong base of the mountain. These layers tell the story of the mountain's history. Chapter 5. The Weather and Climate. The weather on Mount Everest is terrible. It is one of the harshest climates on Earth. It is always freezing cold. The temperature at the top never goes above freezing. In the winter, it can drop to minus 76 degrees Fahrenheit. Even in the summer, it is very cold. The wind is also very strong. Hurricane-force winds hit the mountain often. These winds are called the jet stream. They can blow at over 100 miles per hour. The wind can easily blow a person off the mountain. The weather changes very fast. A sunny day can turn into a deadly blizzard in minutes. Climbers must constantly watch the sky. They rely on weather reports to stay safe. Chapter 6. The Death Zone. The higher you go on Everest, the less air there is. The air gets very thin. This means there is less oxygen to breathe. The area above 26,000 feet is called the death zone. This name is very accurate. Human bodies cannot survive long in the death zone. The body starts to slowly die. Cells do not get enough oxygen. Brains stop working well. People get confused. They get very tired. Every step takes huge effort. Climbers cannot stay in the death zone for long. They must go up and come back down quickly. Most climbers use masks and oxygen tanks in this zone. Breathing bottled oxygen helps them survive. Chapter 7. Plants and Animals. Not much can live on Mount Everest. The environment is too harsh. At the bottom of the mountain, there are forests. You can find pine trees and bamboo. Animals like snow leopards and red pandas live in the lower valleys. There are also wild yaks and birds. But as you go higher, life disappears. Trees stop growing. Only small shrubs and moss can survive the cold. Above a certain point, there are no plants at all. It is just bare rock, snow, and ice. Very few animals go this high. Sometimes birds fly over the mountain. One type of jumping spider lives very high up. It survives by eating frozen insects blown up by the wind. Otherwise, the top of Everest is lifeless. Chapter 8. The Sherpa People. You cannot talk about Everest without talking about the Sherpa people. Sherpas are an ethnic group. They live in the high valleys of Nepal. They have lived in the mountains for hundreds of years. Because of this, their bodies are used to the thin air. They can breathe easier at high altitudes than other people. Sherpas are the backbone of Everest climbing. They do the hardest work on the mountain. They carry heavy tents and food. They fix the ropes that climbers use. They set up the ladders over deep ice cracks. Without Sherpas, most people could never climb Everest. They are very strong and brave. Many Sherpas have lost their lives helping foreigners climb the mountain. Chapter 9. Early History and Discovery. For a long time, the outside world did not know about Everest. In the 1800s, British mapmakers began measuring mountains in India. They used math and heavy tools. In 1852, an Indian mathematician named Radhanath Sikdar made a discovery. He calculated the height of Peak 15. He found out it was the tallest mountain in the world. This was huge news. For many years after, no one tried to climb it. The countries of Nepal and Tibet were closed to foreigners. Finally, in the 1920s, Tibet opened its borders slightly. British teams started making plans to explore the mountain. They wanted to be the first to reach the top. Chapter 10. The Mystery of Mallory and Irvine. In 1924, a famous British expedition tried to climb Everest. Two of the climbers were George Mallory and Andrew Irvine. They were very brave. They wore heavy wool clothes. They used early, clumsy oxygen tanks. On the 8th of June, 1924, they were seen high on the mountain. They were walking towards the top. Then, clouds rolled in. They disappeared from sight. They never came back down. No one knows if they reached the top before they died. This is the biggest mystery of Mount Everest. In 1999, an expedition found Mallory's frozen body. But they did not find his camera. The camera might hold the answer. To this day, we do not know if they were the first to stand on the summit. Chapter 11. The First Success. The first proven success came many years later. It happened in 1953. It was a large British expedition. The team was led by John Hunt. They used the route from Nepal. On the 29th of May 1953, two men left their high camp. One was Edmund Hillary. He was a beekeeper from New Zealand. The other was Tenzing Norgay. He was a highly skilled Sherpa. They climbed the final icy ridge. At 11:30 inches the morning, they reached the very top. They hugged each other. They took photos. They buried a few small items in the snow as an offering. They stayed for 15 minutes. Then they climbed safely down. The news reached the world just as Queen Elizabeth II was crowned. It was a moment of global joy. Chapter 12. How to Climb Everest. Climbing Everest is not a simple hike. It is a long expedition. It takes about 2 months. There are two main ways to the top. One is the South Col route from Nepal. The other is the North Ridge route from Tibet. The Nepal side is the most popular. Climbers fly into a small mountain airport. Then, they hike for over a week just to reach base camp. Base camp is a temporary village of tents. It sits on a moving glacier. Climbers must spend weeks at base camp. They do this to let their bodies adjust to the thin air. This is called acclimatization. Chapter 13. The process of acclimatization. Acclimatization is slow and boring. Climbers cannot just walk to the top. Their bodies would fail. Instead, they climb up a little bit, then climb back down. They go to Camp 1, then return to base camp. A few days later, they go to Camp 2, then return. They do this over and over. They sleep at higher and higher altitudes. This forces their bodies to make more red blood cells. Red blood cells carry oxygen. This process takes weeks. It wears the climbers out. But it is the only way to survive the death zone later. Chapter 14. The Khumbu Icefall. On the Nepal side, the first major obstacle is the Khumbu Icefall. It is just above base camp. It is a river of ice that is slowly falling down the mountain. It is incredibly dangerous. The ice breaks into giant blocks. Some blocks are the size of houses. Deep cracks open up in the ice. These cracks are called crevasses. Sherpas, known as the icefall doctors, build a path through it. They tie ropes to the ice. They lay aluminum ladders across the deep black crevasses. Climbers must walk carefully across these wobbly ladders. They wear spikes on their boots called crampons. The icefall is constantly moving. Ice blocks can collapse without warning. Climbers try to cross it very early in the morning. Before the sun warms the ice, it is slightly more stable. Chapter 15. Health dangers on the mountain. The mountain is constantly trying to kill climbers. The cold is a major threat. Frostbite is very common. Fingers, toes, and noses can freeze solid. If they freeze too badly, they must be cut off. Altitude sickness is another huge danger. The brain can swell with fluid. The lungs can fill with fluid. This causes a drowning sensation. The only cure is to climb down immediately. There is also sheer exhaustion. People stop eating because they lose their appetite. They lose a lot of muscle weight. They become very weak. A simple cough can break a rib in the dry, cold air. Survival requires intense mental toughness. Chapter 16. Modern climbing. Today, climbing Everest is very different than in 1953. It is a huge business. Commercial guiding companies run most expeditions. Anyone with enough money can try to climb. It costs between $40,000 and $100,000. The companies provide tents, food, oxygen, and Sherpa guides. The climbers just have to walk. The routes are set up with fixed ropes from the bottom to the top. Climbers clip their harnesses to these ropes for safety. The tents are preset by Sherpas. Meals are cooked for the clients. It is still very dangerous, but it is much more accessible. Chapter 17. The crowds on Everest. Because anyone with money can go, Everest gets very crowded. Hundreds of people try to summit on the same few days in May. They wait for a window of good weather. When the weather clears, a massive line forms on the mountain. This line is very dangerous. People get stuck in the death zone for hours. They run out of bottled oxygen while waiting in line. They get cold. They get weak. The crowds make the mountain much more deadly. Experienced climbers complain that Everest has become an amusement park. They say many clients do not have enough climbing skills to be there. Chapter 18: Disasters and Tragedies. Everest has seen many dark days. Over 300 people have died on the mountain. Avalanches are a frequent killer. A wall of snow can wipe out a whole camp in seconds. In 1996, a terrible storm trapped several teams high on the mountain. 8 people died in one night. Books and movies were made about this tragedy. In 2014, a massive ice block fell in the Khumbu Icefall. It killed 16 Sherpas instantly. It was the worst single accident in Everest's history. Then, in 2015, a huge earthquake hit Nepal. It triggered an avalanche that hit base camp. It killed 22 people. The mountain is unpredictable. No amount of money or skill can stop an avalanche. Chapter 19: The Problem of Trash. The crowds have brought a sad problem to Everest. The mountain has a lot of trash. It has been called the world's highest garbage dump. Climbers leave behind empty oxygen bottles. They leave broken tents and torn ropes. They leave food wrappers and human waste. The cold weather means nothing, rots away. The trash just stays there forever. The human waste is polluting the water supply for villages below. There are also many dead bodies on the mountain. When a climber dies high up, it is usually impossible to carry them down. The bodies are left frozen in the snow. They become grim landmarks for other climbers. Chapter 20: Cleaning up the mountain. People are trying to fix the trash problem. The government of Nepal now makes new rules. Teams must bring down a certain amount of garbage. If they do not, they lose a large deposit of money. There are also special cleanup expeditions. Brave Sherpas risk their lives just to bring down old oxygen bottles and torn tents. Groups like the Sagarmatha Pollution Control Committee work hard to manage the waste at base camp. They are trying to install better toilets. They want to protect the holy mountain. It is a slow process, but awareness is growing. Climbers are being taught to respect the environment more. Chapter 21: Why People Climb. With all the danger, the cost, and the suffering, one question remains. Why do people climb Mount Everest? The answers are very personal. Some do it to test themselves. They want to push their bodies to the absolute limit. Some do it for the fame. They want to say they stood on top of the world. Some do it for spiritual reasons. They feel close to heaven up there. In the 1920s, a reporter asked George Mallory why he wanted to climb Everest. His answer became famous. He simply said, "Because it's there." That is still true today. The mountain represents the ultimate human challenge. Chapter 22. Conclusion. Mount Everest is a place of extremes. It is extreme in height, cold, and danger. It is a beautiful wonder of nature. It has a rich history of brave explorers and incredible Sherpas. It also faces modern problems like crowding and pollution. Despite the risks, it will always draw people to it. It stands as a silent giant. It watches the clouds and the stars. It is the roof of the world. As long as it stands, people will dream of touching its highest peak.